I have ripped a tyre off the rim. Absolute classic. Would it be me off-roading if I didn't rip a freaking tyre off the rim? Alright, well I know what to do now. Dodgy fill up tyre with aerosol and explode it back onto the rim tyre. Given my ridiculously long and illustrious career with ripping tyres off wheels while off-roading, I should have known there and then that this fix wasn't going to be as easy as simply exploding the tyre back onto the rim. Sí. Creo que probablemente necesito nuevos. Welcome to the Iberian Trail, an overland video series that tells the story of a world-first attempt to circumnavigate the Iberian Peninsula without using paved roads. I set out in my DIY Land Cruiser camper to see if real, wild adventure is still possible to find in Europe. And you won't believe what I discovered out here. With the remoteness of the terrain and the sheer extremity of the four-wheel drive, this expedition is fast becoming the wildest adventure of my life. With a map strung together from old GPX files, paper maps, and local hearsay, I'm tackling 7,000 miles of the toughest 4x4 tracks imaginable, and performing all the maintenance and repairs on the road as I go, unsupported in my 30-year-old truck. So strap in, hit that subscribe button, and join me on the road, because this is going to be a wild ride into the unknown. I'm in the far north of Spain, in the province of Cantabria, 500 miles into the trail of what will be 7,000. It's taken me weeks to get to this point, thanks to the consistently brutal and extreme terrain, and I'm slowly coming to terms with the fact that the Iberian Trail is going to be a long-term endeavour. I'm on the way back down from a snow-choked, high-altitude four-wheel drive pass, having failed to break through the brutal snow and ice. Alongside my friend Chus in his Montero, we're heading back down into the valley from where we came, and I now have a 400-kilometre detour to take due to us being defeated by the extreme conditions in the pass. It's impossible to pass. The frozen mountain had defeated us, and we were being forced to backtrack on ourselves with our tails between our legs. But as it turned out, this mountain wasn't done with us just yet, and true to form on this expedition, another disaster was just around the corner. Just when I thought that we were going to be home free, I thought, oh, that's a strange noise. I have ripped a tyre off the rim. Absolute classic. For f***'s sake. Would it be me off-roading if I didn't rip a freaking tyre off the rim? I think we all know the answer to that. I really hope that tyre's alright. I think it is. God's sake. Alright, well I know what to do now. It's dodgy fill up tyre with aerosol and explode it back onto the rim time. You remember this one, don't you? Freaking hell. This vehicle has been absolutely plagued with wheel and tyre issues for literally years, and as a result, so have all my expeditions. I've bent pretty much every one of these wheels more times than I can count, and seem to have a knack for continually ripping out sidewalls of tyres, resulting in some spectacular bush fixes that sometimes go on to end up having explosive consequences. Needless to say that at this point, I'm pretty well versed in dealing with these issues. Not that that makes them any easier to overcome. Have you ever seen, though, a more spectacular place for this to happen? I haven't. God, this is so funny. The problem is as well, I'm like so not on the flat. Yeah, well, we're gonna have to just do it, aren't we? I began ranging around for some big rocks that I could use to chock the wheels of the cruiser. The vehicle was on quite an incline here, and I didn't want it rolling downhill when I jacked it up. I've got all the wheels chocked, and now I'm gonna get the tools out of the back and get this thing up on the high lift. Here's Chus back. I love you. Having initially not realised that anything was wrong, Chus had doubled back up the mountain to see where I got to, and he quickly saw my predicament. I opened up the back of the cruiser to start pulling out the tools that I was going to need to do this job. Impact gun in hand, I whipped the high lift off the side of the vehicle. The high lift is one of those last resort style tools that I don't really like using, especially on a long distance expedition, because if things go wrong when you're using it, you basically have 3 tons on the handle, and it can take your head off way too easily. But with situations like this, there's really no option.
Ay, vale. Vamos a ver.
Hay que probar.
Sí. Demasiado barro, creo. Ay, suena muy...
¿Me ayudo?
Sí. Está... Ya está, muy bien.
Having been subjected to the extremes of this expedition for the last few weeks, the mechanism of the jack was choked up with dust, mud, and probably snow and ice, and it was making some horrible popping and grinding noises. Really not what you want to hear given the lethal nature of these jacks. But with the help of Chus, I managed to get the rear wheel off the ground and the vehicle up in the air.
¿Ponemos una cuerda?
Ah, sí, podemos.
The plan here was standard: fill the tyre up with aerosol and explode it back onto the rim. Just off camera, we'd accrued an audience of hikers to watch the spectacle.
Sí. Vale, that's right.
Estuve mirando ayer y 200 euros de multa, ¿eh? Por no llevar rueda de repuesto o el kit de...
Vale, voy a probar.
With the tyre full of deodorant, I was trying to use the spade to create a gap so that I could get a flame to it.
Sí.
With the aerosol trapped inside the tyre, I was struggling here, and Chus had the idea to use more of the aerosol and cover the rim, so as to act as some kind of fuse, a propellant that I could light on the outside of the tyre, while I pushed the tyre back with the spade to create a gap.
Sí.
Vale.
Esto es, tú sabes, amigo.
This trick had worked an absolute treat, and with Chus's assistance, it had been a whole lot more controlled than many of my previous exploits.
Ahora voy a poner el compresor.
The tyre retracted on the rim as I went to get the compressor out, but as I got it all connected up, it soon became apparent that everything wasn't well. At this point, the tyre should have filled right up and be holding air normally, and while I was managing to get the tyre holding some air, I was finding that I was unable to get the tyre to hold much pressure at all. It was topping out at around 15 psi and wouldn't hold further pressure.
¿Va bien?
Pero no sé dónde. O tal vez es como el parte de rueda.
El sonido.
Muy raro.
Bueno, está sucio.
Ay, sí. Creo que con más aire tal vez será.
Seemed like the tyre was leaking from the bead, a problem I'd had many times in the past, and one that seemed to get worse every single time that this happened. These rims are old, and having had so many continued issues with them, I was starting to suspect that the wheels were reaching the end of their useful lifespan.
Aquí.
Ah, en el pared.
Pero es aquí.
Oh, está aquí.
La junta.
Ah, sí.
Aquí, por ahí. Arregla.
Tal vez podemos quitarlo otra vez y... Sí.
It quickly became apparent that we were going to have to take this wheel off again. We needed to take a look at the bead at the back from where the air was escaping to see what could be done about getting it to hold air again.
Todo aventura, ¿no?
Siempre de aventura.
Exactamente.
We decided that for this one, we'd take the car down off the jack and try to get the cruiser somewhere flatter for safety. But this time, the high lift jack was not playing nice.
No mucho, ¿eh? Shit. Tengo
Ay, no sé cómo se dice eso, como... sí, pero en aerosol WD 40. ¿Sí? Eso. Vamos a probarlo. Obviamente creo que grasa es mejor, pero por ahora. Sí. Exacto. Por esto y... Vamos a ver. Sí. Ah, sí, solo un poco de WD. Good old WD-40 had done it again. With the jack moving as it should, we could drop the vehicle back down onto the ground. And I was going to have to reverse on this completely flat tyre, up to a section of flatter ground about 15 meters behind. ¿Qué tú piensas de eso?
¿Y subirle ahí?
¿Más plano? Sí. Okay, so we're going to pull backwards where it's a bit flatter. Oh, that's horrible. The feeling of driving on a completely flat tyre is a unique and horrible one, and as I backed up here, I was just hoping that I was doing no further damage to the rim or the tyre itself. It's f***ing horrible. Ay, qué espectacular. ¿Cómo está? Ay. I was surprised to find that the bead on the tyre had actually held, which was a pretty good sign. Creo que sí, la llanta se va la rueda y ahora tengo sucio adentro de, no sé cómo se dice, como el pared de la llanta, entonces vamos a subirlo y cambiarla si no puedo poner esta llanta. Sí.
No puedes arreglarlo.
Sí, exacto. Mucho mejor aquí. With the car on flatter ground, we felt more confident to do this job. As Chus jacked the vehicle up, I went down to collect the big rocks to use as chocks, so that we could truly get this thing secured while we pulled the wheel again, so we could try to figure out this problem. Un poco más. Listo. No funciona.
Vamos a darle aire.
Sí.
Y
Piensas que es como así, ¿eh?
igual darle aquí.
Sí. Tal vez
Un
puedo.
martillo.
Sí.
Sí, pues darle aquí.
Mucho más caluroso, un poco bajo, ¿no?
Oh.
Look. With our suspected leak on the bead located, I got to work battering the wheel, hoping that by doing so, we might be able to get the tyre seating better and eliminate the leak. Aquí, ¿eh? Sí. Creo que cuando tiene algo adentro será mejor, más fácil, ¿eh? We got the compressor connected up and the tyre quickly inflated. Eso suena bien. Wow. Tú sabes, amigo. Ajá. Pero menos, ¿no? It was holding air much better than before, but there was still a microscopic leak somewhere on this bead. We ran a bit of water around the bead, which really helps when trying to locate leaks like this. Cuando añadamos más aire, será como un sello mejor. Sí. Vamos a ver, sí, mucho. Pero se ve mucho mejor que
De antes.
sí. Sure enough, the water was still bubbling up through where the air was escaping on the bead. Looking at the battered state of these wheels, I got the feeling that even if we managed to seal this tyre, this wouldn't be the last time that I was going to be doing this, if I were going to keep this set of rims. Chus wasn't finished on this job yet, and he picked up the hammer to have another go at beating this rim into submission.
Sí, él sabe. Excelente, amigo. Es listo, ¿no?
Yo creo que sí, mira. No hay nada.
Sí.
With a bit of measured violence in all the right places, Chus had managed it. While the bead did not look healthy, this tyre was holding air and was going to get us down off the mountain. This was going to allow me to continue on the trail.
Bueno, creo que probablemente necesito nuevos o hacer como algo con esos, porque he tenido problemas en el pasado con otros también. Y es como súper mal, pero
igual limpiar.
Limpiar, sí.
Limpiar el borde este, yo creo que...
¿Crees que será bien, sí?
Sí.
Muy bien.
Yo creo que sí.
Absolutamente perfecto. Amigo.
Vamos a montar.
Sí, vamos a montar. Oh, no.
With the wheel located back onto the studs on the hub, we rattled the wheel nuts up with the impact gun and got packed up, ready to descend off this mountain, wrapping up one spectacular breakdown.
Ya listo, sí. Sí, fue como una lucha, pero está bien. Sí. Okay, we did it. Chus and I smashed it, just saving the freaking day, man. Oh god, that was a mission. And now we're gonna go down. He wants to go eat with his family, and I'm gonna continue on. And then probably tomorrow I'll cross the Sotres on the road. So yeah, that's kind of the rough plan at the minute.
I'd planned to cross to the town of Sotres via this 4x4 pass. On this map, you can see how far we made it before having to turn back, since it had been impassable. As a result, I would now have to backtrack on myself some 400 kilometers and drive around these mountains, taking a route closer to the coast, or to the left on this map. This had been the only unpaved 4x4 route through the Picos de Europa, meaning I'd have to spend about 200 kilometers on road to get around the Picos, making it impossible to claim an off-road circumnavigation of the Iberian Peninsula unless I came back here and drove this 35 kilometers of dirt that had been denied to us this time. As we descended to a lower altitude, signs of regular life began to reappear. As the brutal, inhospitable terrain fell away, the temperature climbed by a few degrees, and we re-entered the lower-lying valleys and more hospitable climbs. We dropped back down into Espinama, the little outpost town that would use as a staging point for our expedition to cross the mountains. This was far from the victory lap I'd been expecting in Sotres on the other side of the Picos, but nevertheless we pulled over in the town square to commiserate and congratulate ourselves on the small wins from today, as well as making a bloody good effort at an impossible task.
Alright, there he goes. Chus is the man. The absolute man, honestly. Oh, wow, what a day. What an awesome day. Oh, yes. We failed. But, you know, we had a damn good time doing it. Onward. Let's go to the next place. Try and find somewhere to post up for the night, I think. Hell yeah.